Alright, so this is going to be part 4 to what if Asta and Yuno were adopted by Meroleona. So in the last part we just got done with the dungeon kind of arc and their kind of entire mission, what went down. I guess one thing I gotta address is, people telling me in the comments, in the manga, Asta can do this or that. And I know, because I've read the manga, it's just I'm not giving him these certain powers just yet. I know that he could do, these abilities in his, different swords that he does. I just don't want to do it just yet, as well as not really mention them too much, because even though they're just abilities, it's still somewhat spoiling, I guess. But anyways, yeah, if you haven't noticed, I have read the manga, so yeah. He is gonna get these abilities sooner than in canon, obviously, but just stick around to see how it, turns out. So our story would start off a little bit after, I guess a day after the dungeon exploration, and this is where Asta would wake up, not as injured as he was, than he was in canon, since he wouldn't get as hurt, but still somewhat decently injured. Not enough to get knocked out for a few days, but enough to need some bed rest, I suppose. So this is where Frogolion tells Asta and Leopold that they're going to the ceremony so that Leopold can actually go and receive his status as a junior. I believe it was a junior knight. I forgot the actual term that they use, but basically he's getting acknowledged for his achievements, because as you know, since Leopold is a little bit older than Asta, and nobility and royals do not have to go through the same process of doing the kind of Magic Knight test, he's actually able to join the Crimson Lion Kings a lot earlier than most people, giving him time to actually accomplish these feats that he's getting acknowledged for. So that's why he's still going, and that's why I didn't really mention any accomplishments that he's done recently. So yeah, Asta is also going, since the Wizard King is very interested in both Asta and Yuno because of how different they are compared to the rest of the Magic Knights, both in canon and in this series, given that they were raised by Meroleona, one of the strongest characters in Black Clover in terms of humans. So yeah, as they're going, this is where they would get to the capital, and they would get there earlier since they are closer to the capital, like most of the higher kind of squads are. So they would get there faster. They would get there around the same time as Yuno and their kind of group, the Golden Dawn. So Yuno and Klaus and Mimosa are actually going there this for the same reason that Asta's going, and that is to really just observe the ceremony and go to the banquet. So we could skip a few I guess hours, and this is where they would actually look and see the different the different knights that are getting acknowledged for their success in being a Magic Knight, as well as the Wizard King giving out the different titles to each knight. So Leopold would be up. Asta would be excited for him, just like he would normally be, just because his cousin, even though technically it's his uncle, is getting acknowledged for his hard work. And Asta and Leopold would get, they would get along just how they do in canon. So after this, the Wizard King asks them to join the banquet, and they do so. So Asta, he hasn't been around too much of, I guess, civilized kind of ways of eating, because he wouldn't really need or really have utensils growing up in the way that Meroleona would live, because from the one flashback we see, it's always her just eating off the bone, right? So Asta would have gotten somewhat accustomed to this just because of how he would be living with the Crimson Lions and things like that. And I'm not sure if I don't remember if I touched on Yuno's kind of life in the Golden Dawn in the last parts or not. It has been a while. I'm sorry that I haven't uploaded in a bit. But yeah, so his kind of relationship with the Golden Dawn is a little bit different than it was in canon, just because he is royalty by name. Like I said before, I think his relationship with the other nobility would be in question, because he is it's the same way where if a noble were to cheat on their wife and a son or daughter were to be the outcome of that child would be questioned in terms of their nobility, just how they normally would. But it'll be the same. It'd be similar to the situation with Longris, which is Finral's brother, where he is technically not Finral's full brother, but still he is the one that's ahead of Finral, even though he's younger, just because his magic is stronger and things like that. So because has that magic to back it up, he's actually more accepted into the Golden Dawn than normally. So at the banquet, Asta and Yuno would be trying to eat. Asta more out there eating as much as he wants, just because he doesn't have that kind of filter. But Yuno is more civilized for a bit or more than Asta, and is somewhat reluctant to eat, just because of he doesn't want to make himself look bad, as well as not being totally used to utensils. But because they're in the Golden Dawn, another noble kind of squad, he has to kind of learn that. So that's what he does. Eventually they get to the topic of the dungeon, and this is where everything kind of gets more hostile. None of the other kind of squads are really making fun of Asta and Yuno, except for the Silver Eagles, and that's mostly Solid and it's mostly gonna be Solid, which is Noel's young or older brother. I think he's like the middle brother, something like that. So they would basically complain about both Noel and Mimosa really getting injured during a fight like this, or during the dungeon, and that's what they're really talking about. So they would mostly talk about Mimosa and not really Noel at this point, and they would talk about how she was injured during the dungeon, and that it was really disgraceful for someone who is royal to be in that situation. And I think Klaus would speak up and basically say that she did a fine job, just like the rest of us. She tried her best, and things just went that way. And this is where, instead of Leopold talking about how really gloating that if he was there things would have gone smoother, because he was there, he doesn't actually do that. And because of that, I believe it was Nozel doesn't really point out the fact that where he says, come on, we all know who's the most useless here, and that would be Noel. But instead of saying that, he would still kind of say it, but he wouldn't be pressured or not really suggested to say that. And I think first they would get into that kind of argument about the Golden Dawn. And this is where Nozel would basically talk about Asta and Yuno, mostly Yuno first, and he's going to say, like, you have someone in your squad that's not even real royalty. Then this is where Forgoleon actually steps up and says, hey, that is my nephew you're talking about. I don't care if he isn't in my bloodline, he's still my sister's son, so that still makes me his uncle and him a royal. And this is where both of the captains would release their magic pressure and kind of face each other And in the distraction, this is where I think it was Solid actually pours water on Noelle, and Noelle's about to leave, and Asta actually stops her from doing so. And he says to Noelle that you shouldn't run away from people like this. And this is where Solid would be like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do to stop it? And this is where Asta basically tells them, I know that you guys don't like me, but that doesn't matter because I'm gonna become the Wizard King. And everyone kind of laughs there. Not really, the only ones who don't really laugh are Leopold, the Golden Dawn members that were at the dungeon, as well as Leopold and Fergolion. So those are the really only people that don't laugh. And this is where the Golden Dawn, one of the Golden Dawn members who don't really like Yuno and don't really like Asta, basically because of their fake status, he says you need to be put in your place, and he actually uses that kind of stone magic to kind of basically like capture him. And as this is going down, Fergolion's seeing this, but he doesn't interact just yet. So as this is going down, this is where Solid actually tries to plan an attack, but as he's doing this, Asta actually breaks out because of his physical strength as well as his anti-magic. So he gets one of his hands out, and he actually cuts through the sand, and he basically says, I'm not done yet. And this is where Solid actually uses one of his water serpent spells, and this is where it shoots out towards Asta, and Asta just uses his demon dweller sword to just reflect it back at him, and they don't know what's going on. And as this is going on, this is where Fergolion just tells him to stop, and basically talks about how they're just weak for going after, so many people going after just one person. And as this is going down, this is where the fight or the invasion actually starts to happen. So then basically what happens is the capital is getting attacked by the Midnight Sun. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here. I know this is a short video compared to my other Black Clover videos. I just haven't been feeling motivated to make these videos. I'm sorry. I'm still gonna do them. I don't know, right now I'm kind of in like a baby writer's block, I guess you could call it. I don't know, but that's kind of how I feel right now. And yeah, so for those who got worried about my post in the community tab, don't worry, I'm still gonna make videos. It's just that right now I'm not really feeling it. I don't know why, it just is. So yeah, with that being said, this is gonna be the video. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you like my content, please subscribe. And if you made it to the end of the video, please comment down CS so that I know that you support the channel. So with that being said, this is gonna be the video, and bye.